Hey guys, Psycho Chef here, and welcome to Guild Wars 2 Hype. I know it has been a long time, but I promised you guys that I would come back and do this, so here I am doing it. So unfortunately, since I was away, or while I was away, I did not do any research or watch any videos or anything, actually. Sad face. But needless to say that the dungeon videos that I was going to do are no longer going to be a possibility because the only one that I can find information on is the Ascalon Catacombs, which I've already covered. All I could find was like a basic representation of or explanation of the other dungeons, aside from their names and what they are or how they fit into the lore. Like I mean, like a 2-sentence summary. So yeah. We'll have to come back to that once more dungeon stuff is released. Until then, we're going to have some more fun with professions. So before, I know I did a video on just kind of an overview of the Elementalist, and now it's going to be the in-depth. Unfortunately, I am cheap and broke, and I do not have the right kind of software on my computer to be able to make like nice, cool little movie things and videos and show you all kinds of nifty tricks and all that kind of stuff. I can't even get PowerPoint to work the way I want it to. So you're just going to have to look at me, look at my notes. Sorry, it might be a little amusing, but at least it should be informative. So here we go, the Elementalist. So the different skill types that the Elementalist has are the standard casting class, or as they say in Guild Wars 2, Scholar. They have area of effect skills, which are things like the firewall, meteor shower, blizzard, that kind of stuff, where you just click the spell and then you click where you want to cast it, and then it just rains down fire and ice and death and destruction and all that kind of fun stuff. Then there's also things like Cone of Cold, which is just from you in a cone outwards, it just blasts ice. I think that's the only conal effect on the Elementalist. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. We'll find out here soon. And then, of course, there's the point-blank AoEs, which are like the projectile barrier, which I can't remember the technical name for it, but it just, it surrounds you within X amount of feet radius, and that's it. You can't say where you want it to go. You can't protect your enemies unless they're on top of you. And so, yeah. But things like that are called point-blank AoEs. So AoE is just area of effect skill, where it's like, okay, do stuff here, and it does stuff there, and death, destruction, rawr. Anyway, and then there are charge skills, which I'm not sure exactly which ones are going to be charge skills. I'll find out later. But a charge skill is essentially things where you hold the button down, and it charges, and then it just unleashes. And the longer you hold it, I'm sure that there's going to be a cap, like 5 seconds or something, but if you hold it up to that 5 seconds and then unleash it, it's going to be at its peak and most powerful at 5 seconds or after. Whereas if you only charge it for, like, say 1 or 2 seconds, you, like, just kind of, go away. 5 seconds, you're just like, rah, death, fire. Sorry, I'm in a really weird mood tonight. Maybe it's because it's raining and 30 degrees outside. Gotta love Texas weather. Anyway, moving on. Conjuring spells. This is really simple. It's where you say, okay, summon Fire Lord, summon Water Lord, summon whatever. You summon a minion, more or less, and the minion fights for you for so long or until it's killed, and then it goes away. As far as recharge time, I'm not sure on that. We'll find out here in a minute. But conjure spells just summon something. And then there's glyphs. As far as I can tell, these are either the same or very, very similar to the glyphs in WoW, where it is, it said, to quote the Guild Wars 2 wiki, utility skills which enhance or modify the natural power of the Elementalist, which I would assume that means that if you have a specific glyph on, that those particular, like say one of fire, I can tell you right now, one of fire, that it will increase your fire abilities. Natural assumption, right? Glyphs. Oops, nope, that's a signet. And then, of course, there's the signets, which are when you equip the signet, it gives you a buff all the time, depending on which one you have equipped. So you say, for example, the Signet of Restoration, which I just happened to click on accidentally. Its passive ability, they both have two abilities, a passive and an active. The passive ability is all the time. You run around with it, it gives you a buff. On the Signet of Restoration, for example, it says, gain health every time you cast a spell. It's easy. It's like, okay, cast a spell, when I cast it, I get health back. Cool, right? And then its active ability, which is where you click on it and it activates, you heal yourself. It's just a self-heal. You can't target anyone else, you just heal yourself, right? So that's what signets are. They've got an active and then a passive ability, depending on what one you have equipped. Now for glyphs, like the glyph of elemental harmony, you heal yourself, apparently, the whole time. You just have it activated and you're healing yourself. Elementalists are going to be so OP. Anyway, under fire, you gain might. Under air, you gain swiftness. Water, you gain regenerate. And earth, you gain protection. So whichever attunement you're in, it gives you whatever I just said. If you're fire, might, so on and so forth. And just so you don't know, might, essentially it's exactly like it sounds, you do more damage. Swiftness, which I can't remember, obviously you move faster. Regenerate, I'm not even going to go into that because it's obvious. Protection, just as obvious. Defense is improved. So, that is the difference between a glyph and a signet. And the glyphs, I was wrong, are not exactly the same as in WoW, but they're very similar to the WoW glyphs. They just have their own cool little nifty tricks that are kind of buried in there. So, now, moving on to abilities. Now, if you remember in my little short segment on the Elementalist, the Elementalist cannot change weapons in combat. They're the only class that cannot do this. All other professions are able to hot swap between weapons during combat. Oh, hey, I'm going to come up and smack you around. Wait, I don't want to use maces, I want to use axes. Okay, axes, now I'm smacking you around with axes. Elementalists can't do that, not because they can't use axes, but because they can't switch weapons. So, the reason that they cannot switch weapons is because at any given moment, they can switch between the four attunements: earth, water, fire, and air. So that's kind of a balance act right there. It's like, okay, well, I can't change weapons, but you know what? Instead of shooting fire at you, I'm now going to like hit you with water stuff and ice and all that stuff. And then, oh wait, I want to switch back to fire and brimstone and rain down death and destruction. And then, oh wait, earth, because you're coming at me and you're like all up in my face, so I'm just going to pop earth and be like, what now? That kind of thing. So, no weapons, attunements. Cool enough. The weapons that the Elementalists are able to use. My brain is moving faster than my tongue tonight. I apologize. The staff, daggers, scepters, foci, or focuses. It depends on what part of English you do. And their aquatic is the trident, which I think is kind of badass. But, so moving on to abilities. Staff is obviously both hands. Daggers are main or offhand. Scepters, obviously main hand only. Focus, obviously offhand only. Trident, duh. So, let's start out with, what should we do first? How about fire? Because death and destruction is awesome. Yes. So, basic fire attunement skills with the staff. You've got your fireball. Okay, really? Fireball. Lava Font, Flame Burst, Burning Retreat, which is a nifty little skill, and Meteor Shower, Fire and Brimstone. Meteor Shower is that AoE effect that I was telling you about. It's like, okay, fire and brimstone here, and then wherever it is, enemies walk through it, they get hurt and set on fire, and they die, hopefully. AoE, Meteor Shower. Burning Retreat. If you watch the PvP videos that are on YouTube, you will see Burning Retreat a lot. It is where, if you're facing someone, you hit Burning Retreat and you roll backwards, but from where you start to where you stop, there's a wall of flame that is created. and anybody that runs through it that's a bad guy is going to get hurt. And if I remember correctly, projectiles can still get lit on fire going through it, and if you stand behind it, I think you get some kind of protection. Could be wrong about that. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done anything with this stuff, but Burning Retreat looks like a really awesome, this kind of trick to get away from things. Like, oh, hey, melee, Burning Retreat, and they're going to run through the fire, obviously if they're not, in PvP, because a person would be smart enough to run around. But as far as NPCs it goes, they're going to run through that fire and they're going to take a lot of damage. Good stuff. Lava Font. Let's see what Lava Font is. Another AoE. I didn't realize that's what that one was called. The Lava Font is where you say, okay, I'm going to target this one area, and pretty much a little miniature volcano erupts there and lava spews out, and anyone running through it is going to get damaged and it hurts. Ow, fire, hot, burning. Yes. So that's Lava Font. Fireball, obviously, cast a fireball. Duh. Easy stuff. Water Attunement, and this is all just with the staff stuff. Water Attunement, Water Blast, throw water at you. Basic stuff. The Ice Spike, which, if I remember correctly, is... yes. Where you target someone and Ice Spike just... it's like a icicle just comes down and crushes them. And the cool thing about it is it causes vulnerability. Good stuff. Good stuff. Frozen Ground, Geyser, and Healing Rain. And if I remember correctly, Geyser and Healing Rain are both healing abilities. Could be wrong. Give me a second. So Frozen Ground is where it's another AoE effect where you say target area and it gets coated in ice. And it freezes. I thought it was a slow. I was wrong. It freezes people that walk into it. And becomes Maelstrom if traded, which I'm not sure what that means, but it's on the wiki, so it's got to be important. Right? Moving on. Geyser. Summon a Geyser to heal nearby allies, which the Geyser is like an AoE, and I think Healing Rain is as well. Call down a Healing Rain on target that regenerates ally and also removes conditions. Okay, so Geyser is just straight heal. Say target area, bang, and then it's like this little gush of water. You'll see it. If you watch the videos on YouTube, you're going to see it a lot. Just type in Guild Wars 2 Elementalist. You'll find a whole bunch of stuff on there. Target area and Geyser, water erupts, and anybody standing in it that's friendly is going to get healed. I don't think it does damage to foes. I think they're just like, I think it's neutral to them. Whereas Healing Rain, it's kind of the same concept. It's like, okay, rain down, but it regenerates and removes all debuffs or conditions in Guild Wars 2 speak. As far as regenerations, heals for a small amount of health over a certain length of time. When it stacks, the duration of healing is extended, but not the amount of the healing. Okay, so that's all regeneration is. So Healing Rain is regeneration and removes conditions, and Geyser is just a straight heal. Both are AoE effects. Now, air attunements. Chain Lightning. Okay, easy. 1, 2, 3. Now, let's see. I'm sure if it hits the first one harder than it hits the next two. I could be wrong. It just says hit multiple foes with arcs of Chain Lightning. So, I mean, it's self-explanatory. In most Chain Lightning scenarios that I have encountered, it hits your main target for 100%, and then it diminishes for each additional target up to however many. I'm sure if there's like 20 guys around you, you're only going to be able to hit like 4 or 5 maybe. And it's going to hit for, I'm going to assume, let's just say 4 people are around you. It hits the first for 100%, then 75, then 50, then 25, and so on and so forth. That's just my assumption. I can't find that officially anywhere, but nevertheless. Lightning Surge. Charge Lightning Surge that binds your foe when it discharges, which just means that they stand in place. It's essentially a stun, for lack of a better word. Gust, which just pushes people away from you. It's really easy, self-explanatory. Windborne Speed, which just makes you run faster. You and nearby allies gain swiftness. Cool, I thought it was just you. And Static Field. Create an electrical field as an AoE effect that stuns as it appears. If it is crossed and then again as it dissipates.